This is the Yeti 1500X. And the Yeti 1500X is the newest power station from Goal Zero. It's available now for $19.99 from the Goal Zero website. But is it any better than Jackery or Maxoak? I'm Matt with the Make Use of Product Reviews team, and if you clicked on this video, then you already know we're looking at the Yeti 1500X from Goal Zero. So let's get to it. Okay, first, what is the Goal Zero Yeti 1500X and why should you care about it? The Yeti is Goal Zero's flagship portable power station designed for off-grid activities, job sites, tailgating, camping, and pretty much anything you can think of that requires portable power. Inside the unit is a lithium-ion nickel-manganese cobalt battery rated for 1,516 watt-hours. It's got a 2,000 watt inverter with 3,500 watts of pure sine wave AC surge output. It's got pass-through charging and this is where things start getting fun, an expansion port that you can use with the Yeti Link module. I'm going to talk about Yeti Link in a minute because it does some things that other power stations in this category don't. And it could be the #1 reason you choose the Yeti 1500X over something from Maxoak or Jackery. But before we get there, let's discuss those technical specifications that everybody loves. So just for the sake of transparency, all of these specs come directly from the Goal Zero website and from the owner's manual of the unit. Battery on this unit is a lithium-ion nickel manganese cobalt battery with a peak capacity of 1,516 watt-hours. Life cycles on this unit are about 500 cycles roughly to 80% capacity, with a single cycle being a full charge and discharge. Shelf life on this unit is going to be about 3 to 6 months without needing to be charged. It has an onboard MPPT charge controller. Weight on the unit is 45.64 pounds. Dimensions on the unit, it's about 15.25 across the face, 10.23 front to back, and 10.37 top to bottom. That's in inches. Operating temp on the unit is 32 degrees Fahrenheit to about 104 degrees Fahrenheit, or 0 to 40 C for our UK and our Canadian friends. Warranty period on this unit is 24 months. Now let's talk a little bit about the ports. There are a bunch of them. We'll start with the 2 USB-A output ports. They're 5 volts, 2.4 amps. You also have a 60 watt PD USB-C port. You have an 18 watt Qualcomm 3.0 standard USB-C port. You have 2 6mm output ports on the face of the unit. There's a 12 volt car port. You have 2 12 volt power ports. These are Anderson power ports. You've got one under the lid and you've got one here. The inverter on this unit is a 120 volt pure sine wave AC inverter. It has 2 output AC ports here. You have 2 charging ports that are 8mm ports, both there and underneath the lid. You have 1 Anderson power pole charging port here as well that will support up to 600 watts of input. And underneath the lid of this unit, there is an expansion port that will allow you to attach the Yeti Link. Now that has a proprietary connector underneath it as well as a data port. This unit also has built-in Wi-Fi, 2.4 gigahertz, and built-in Bluetooth low energy. So what's in the box? Included with the Yeti 1500X, you're going to get the unit itself. You'll also get the AC wall charger, and you get all the supported documentation, the warranty card, the owner's manual, all that kind of good stuff. So how does the Yeti 1500X work? To use the device, on the face of the unit, you have these little buttons that you just press, and those will activate the output gangs for either the AC, the USB, or your 12 volt power outputs. There are also buttons for light on here, which turns the unit's backlight display on and off, unit, which alternates between your output and power consumption settings like volts, amps, watts, and watt hours. There's the info button on the unit, which alternates between time to empty and time to full if you're doing pass-through charging. You've also got this battery meter in the middle of the LCD that will show you at a glance about how much charge is left. That's really it. The entire device is about as simple as you can get. So who is the Yeti 1500X for? Like many of the power stations I've reviewed, this guy is for folks who like to go where power isn't. That means off-gridders, campers, tailgaters, people who want to build out that sweet Sprinter van. If you want to take some portable power with you on camping trips or even just on like road trips where you won't be near an outlet for most of the day, maybe a few days, then the Yeti 1500X is great. Goal Zero says that anything you can plug into a wall outlet at home, you can plug into the 1500X. You can even buy a kit that will allow you to tap into your home circuit breakers and use the Yeti for your most important ones in case of a power outage. Now, if you're serious about going off grid, the 12-volt Anderson power port output on this bad boy will power most things under the sun. That means you can use it with things like one of Dometic's fridges, for example, or you can power lights, fans, air conditioners. If your device gets power via an Anderson power pole connector, then you can probably use the Yeti to make it run. So what makes the Yeti different than Maxoak or Jackery? Goal Zero is, in my opinion, one of the big three in the portable power game, with the other two companies being Jackery and Maxoak. Now, I have a Jackery Explorer 1500 unit and I love it, I won't lie. But the Yeti has something the Maxoak and the Jackery don't, and that is Yeti Link. Under the lid here, on the right side, there's this cover, and you take out these 6 screws. Once those screws are out, you expose a proprietary Goal Zero connector and a little data port. These 2 ports are designed to be connected to a product that expands the capability of the Yeti power station. It's called the Yeti Link. So you can actually purchase a lead-acid battery pack that plugs into the Yeti Link and gives you an additional 1500 watt-hours of charge. That means you can have virtually unlimited power if you want to. Now, this ain't cheap, and I'm not telling you it is, but if you want more power capacity, the Yeti Link can help expand this power station. That's not all it can do, though. You can buy a kit that will allow you to connect this unit to your automobile and charge the Yeti while you're driving. Goal Zero's Yeti 1500X really makes it possible for you to be completely off-grid for an extended time. So one of the neatest things about the Yeti is the Goal Zero app. This app allows you to monitor your battery capacity or control which gang of outputs you're using, as well as monitor both input and output wattage. Everything in the app is well designed, and the Yeti 1500X connected without any sort of issue. The way you connect is by pressing this little Wi-Fi button underneath the lid here. From there, you can name the device, and you can even set up a charging profile with one of 4 different modes: performance, battery saver, balanced, or custom. You can also monitor unit temperature and switch on and off the outputs. And if you have more than one Yeti, you can actually pair multiples with the app and have full control over your entire power station fleet. So now it's time to test the Yeti 1500X. Now, in order to test the inverter of the unit, I grabbed a 900 watt clothes steamer and an 1800 watt hairdryer. I chose these items because together their max wattage would push past the Yeti's 2000 watt continuous power output threshold, but it wouldn't push past the surge capacity of the unit. This meant that both of the devices would run for a little bit before immediately triggering the overload protection. Turning on the clothes steamer resulted in about 740 watts, and adding the hairdryer pushed that up to around 2250 roughly. To my surprise, this wattage held for the duration of the test, which was about 6 minutes. So based on this test, it seems as though the inverter on the Yeti 1500X is slightly underrated, but that is not a bad thing. So during this test, the fans kicked on for the unit, so I grabbed my decibel meter to test how loud they were, and it looks like I came up with about 60 decibels max, or 50 decibels on the low end. I think another thing that was interesting about this test was that the Goal Zero app notified me via my phone that the output wattage of the Yeti was really high, and that it wouldn't be long before the battery was completely drained. I think these notifications are a great feature because the Yeti is going to let you know well before you completely drain the battery. So as for solar testing on this unit, I was able to plug 2 of my 100 watt solar panels into the Yeti 1500X and pull down about 180 watts together. So what do we love about the Goal Zero Yeti 1500X? I think high power capacity and the ability to use this device like you would a standard wall outlet in your house is a big plus here. High wattage devices like fridges, microwaves, air conditioners, and other stuff that you wouldn't normally be able to use with other power stations are now in reach with the Goal Zero Yeti 1500X. I also love the fact that you can buy an expansion module with this unit to increase the power, and I really like that you can use it for other applications like hooking into your vehicle or connecting it to your home breaker box. I also really like the Anderson power pole out. That's not something I've seen on some of the power stations I've reviewed, but it is something that I think more companies need to think about if they're targeting van lifers or long-term campers. The magnetic lid is great for storing the AC adapter for the unit, as it won't go missing. And I think that having all of the important features printed on the underside of the lid is really helpful for folks who aren't going to sit down and read the manual cover to cover. Finally, the app is a nice touch. The ability to remotely control your power station from your phone is incredible. You can also update firmware, check charge, and see what the wattage in and out is just by pulling out your phone. So what's not to love here? Well, not much. I think for me, the biggest drawback to the Yeti is the weight. It's 45 pounds, which isn't light. I solved this issue by running over to my local hardware store and picking up a $30 hand truck. And so now, instead of carrying the Yeti around, I just attach it to the hand truck and I can wheel it wherever I need to go. And I think one thing that's going to eventually come up after looking at this unit too is going to be the lack of AC output ports. There's only 2 on the unit. I don't really think this is a drawback, but some people will. You can solve this issue relatively simply by picking up a $10 power strip and plugging that into one of the AC ports on the Yeti. Then you can have as many AC output ports as you like, as long as you don't overload the inverter. So what about repairability? Don't even think about it. This unit is a giant battery, and messing with any of the electronics could potentially be dangerous. The Goal Zero Yeti 1500X should only be serviced by Goal Zero. As for warranty coverage, it has a 24-month warranty against any manufacturer defects. I think 2 years of warranty is awesome considering the cost of this unit. That time period gives me a lot of confidence that the Yeti is going to last and perform for quite a long time. So now time for that big question. Should you buy the Yeti 1500X by Goal Zero? I think that if you're in the market for a portable power station and you want something that's going to exceed your expectations, then the Yeti is an excellent choice. And I can see why there are so many people that trust Goal Zero in the van life and off-grid communities. To me, it's worth every penny, and it is an absolute 10. So what do you think of the Yeti 1500X by Goal Zero? Leave me a comment below and let me know. And if you found this video useful, please leave us a thumbs up and consider subscribing. And if you're interested in more information about the Yeti 1500X by Goal Zero, head on over to makeuseof.com where you can read our full review. As always, for Make Use Of, my name is Matt. I appreciate you watching today, and we will see you in the next one.